discovered in Greenland. They are dated at 3.7 billion years, and one rock from man's first trip to Luna was a baffling 4.3 billion years old. Another puzzler, Rock 13, checked in at an unbelievable 4.5 billion years, and an Apollo 11 soil sample turned out to be 4.6 billion years old. Another report, based on the potassium-argon system of dating, now accepted by science as the most accurate dating system, claimed some of the rocks gave an unacceptable age of 7 billion years. 2 Apollo 12 rocks have been dated at 20 billion years. He then says on page 95, landing clocked in at 3.6 billion years of age, but the soil in which they rested proved to be 4.6 billion years old. With Apollo 12, the same contradictory clash was found. The soil sample was 4.4 billion years old, a billion years older than the rocks that lay strewn about it. An impossibility to our bewildered scientists. They expected the soil to be powdered remains of the rocks lying amidst it, a rubble pile consisting of dust, dirt, rocks and stones that have been banged and crushed over eons of time by the bombardment of meteorites. Even more bewildering discoveries were to follow, as lunar experts found from chemical analysis of the soil that this lunar dirt did not come from the rocks around it, but from somewhere else. If the moon did wander through the universe as a spaceship, then clearly it would have passed through different cosmic time zones. In so doing, it would have picked up rocks and rock particles in the form of meteorites and micrometeorites, and the dust and dirt would be of differing ages. Here's a good one. On page 99, stage of Apollo 12 was sent crashing into the moon. The seismological equipment recorded the shockwaves. The results staggered NASA scientists. The artificially created moonquake lasted 55 minutes. Furthermore, the kind of signals recorded by the seismometers shocked scientists. Seismologists were puzzled that the signals started with small waves, gained in size to a peak, and lasted for an unbelievably long period of time. Now, the seismic records of Apollo 12 proved not to be unique. When the spent third stage of the ill-fated Saturn rocket booster of Apollo 13 was propelled out of Earth orbit into a moon trajectory, and by radio command crashed into the moon, it hit with an impact equal to 11 tons of TNT, about 87 miles from the site where the Apollo 12 astronauts set up seismometers. Apparently, the entire moon vibrated for more than 3 hours and 20 minutes, the vibrations travelling to a depth of 22 to 25 miles. He adds that Apollo 14's SIVB was also boosted into a moon course and by the lunar surface. A NASA science publication stated that the moon reacted like a gong. For about 3 hours it vibrated, and these vibrations travelled to a depth of 22 to 25 miles. The instruments, by the way, picked up the vibrations even though they were 108 miles away from the Apollo 14 impact site. On page 102, he writes, there is also the question of the mystifying speed by which vibrations travel through the moon's hard interior layer. As Werner von Braun tells us, the velocity of seismic waves seems to gradually increase down to a depth of about 15 miles. Then there is a sharp increase. This increase can only be accounted for by a change to a denser material. At a depth of 40 miles, the velocity is estimated to be about 6 miles per second. No rocks examined thus far would, under the actual pressures expected to be at a lunar depth of 40 miles, transmit seismic impulses at speeds as high as 6 miles per second. What kind of material would carry sounds at that speed? Strange that the probable intermixture of metals that exists in the atom area averages out to be 6 miles per second. Here is impressive proof that the inner layer inside the moon is indeed metallic, and that the spaceship moon does have an artificial inner hull. Back on page 86 and 87, he writes, the disks of the sun and the moon appear to be just about equal as viewed from Earth. The moon is only 2,160 miles in diameter, while the sun is 864,000 miles. That makes the sun's diameter approximately 400 times greater. To put it another way, the ratio of our moon's disk to the sun's is 1 to 400. However, our sun is 93,000 miles away, and the moon is only about 250,000 miles away. Strangely enough, this works out to be about the same size ratio, approximately 1 to 400. So the distance just about cancels out the size, and this is why the tiny moon appears to the viewer on Earth to be about the same size as our gigantic sun. He adds this is shown remarkably during a total. Asimov makes an observation about this truly amazing situation, which he calls coincidence. In his book Space, Time and Other Things, he notes, what makes a total eclipse so remarkable is the sheer astronomical reason why the moon and the sun should fit so well. It is the sheerest of coincidences, and only the Earth, among all the planets, is blessed in this fashion. There's even more anomalies here. He says on page 74, the moon's orbit is too nearly circular and synchronized. Such a gravitational capture should have produced a rather elongated elliptical orbit, instead of the nearly circular path the moon now follows around the Earth. And on page 64 he wrote, the moon is a celestial freak in several other respects. Almost all other satellites in the solar system circle their respective planets in the same plane of the orb's equator. Its orbit instead lies strangely closer to the Earth's orbit around the sun. Puzzled scientists wonder, why is our moon circling the Earth outside this usual equatorial planetary orbit? Scientists look at the evidence brought back from the moon, the more they are convinced that it was formed at some remote corner of the galaxy and was captured by the Earth several thousand years ago. He says the problem with the capture theory is that, for one, the moon is too big. Secondly, its orbit is too perfectly circular and too far out from the Earth. If it had been captured by the Earth, it would have had an elliptical orbit, not a perfectly circular one. These facts, combined with the hollow and seemingly artificial nature of the moon, not to mention the coincidental positioning of the moon, the positioning that makes Earth the only planet in the solar system to experience total eclipse, all of these discrepancies and coincidences are just too much to accept. As outlandish as it may seem, the theory of spaceship moon having been altered and steered into Earth orbit by God knows who several thousand years ago seems to be the only one that fits all of the evidence. So that's our book of the week, our mysterious spaceship moon, asking the question, is our nearest neighbour in space a huge alien spacecraft? On Wilson. It'll be hard to find this one. Maybe they might have some secondhand copies of Amazon, or you might be able to find it in a bookshop somewhere. But grab it if you can track it down, because it is a fun read. And on that note, I'm going to leave it there for episode 89 of Mind Shots. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being premium. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll join you soon for the next MU. Take care.
There's no place to escape to.
This is the last podcast.
On the left. That's when the cannibalism started.
What was that?
Are we going?
Yeah, I'm gonna treat you like a firework. Yeah,
You're
I'm
gonna
gonna set you on fire. Yeah.
Well, you don't. All right, that's Marcus Parks. I'm Ben Kissel. With us, as always, we got this guy.
Hey, the pyro. Yeah, I set your bush on fire. Hey, girl.
Danny the Pyro.
I've never had a date. You know.
No, you
it's
haven't.
kind of
Why
been-
not, Danny? What's
mean,
been holding you back?
I don't know. I just thought that women would appreciate my passion. You know, the inner. I'm
Well-
gonna say flame inside of me, but when you open up about how you just love to see the buildings go up in flames and how I just, first
Right.
opportunity I'll set a bush on fire. It's just hard to find that willing participant.
It is. Women
It's
do
hard
like
to
a
find
man.
my yin to my yang.
Right. Women do like a man with passion, but like a passion for the arts or a passion for, fine
What are you
cuisine.
talking about, like setting fire to pictures?
Right, yeah, or steaks.
You can't just set fire to a woman's bush hair and expect to get a date in this fucking... What am I supposed to do? It's my one skill.
and everyone has to have something, and it's a great skill.
I feel bad for the pyros out there that can't find love.
Yeah,
I do too. Ladies love a pyro. If you see a pyro, go give them a appreciation day.
Every burning church is a poem to you. Every burning mailbox full of his shit is a poem to you. It's like a mix CD.
Right. It's very
Date
nice.
a pyro, save a church.
I've
That's
heard
what I
that.
like to say.
Yeah.
You know what?
I
Actually,
agree.
fuck the churches. No, I'm
that's what I was
sorry I even
asking.
said
Why?
that. Yeah. My blood just ran cold when I said that. No, date a pyro, save an orphanage.
Yeah,
Save an orphanage.
Better.
Well, speaking of burning churches, fires, and flames, God knows burning churches and fires and flames
What?
occur mostly during wartime.
Sure, good segue.
Yeah, good.
Oh, I'm the king of the segue. The king of the segue.
Oh, yeah, because you don't walk anywhere. You just use
That's
your
right.
fucking segue.
I'll lean forward when I want to go forward. Today we're going to discuss a very unique kind of serial killer. A serial killer that they are under the radar because on the radar is a bunch of warships that are bombing, warplanes just bombing the shit out of your town. So what I'm telling you is...
Again, you did.
serial killers during wartime. That's what we're discussing today. Under the radar, murder.
A lot of this is
Serial killers during
opportunity killers too. These are people that you take. There are thousands upon millions of casualties already happening, and you could just toss some in the fire there. Like one of the theories behind the Zodiac killer was that he was a hitman who was killing other people dressed in a costume in order to cover the one hit that he was paid to do. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of fun.
Yeah, it is extremely fun.
And specifically, we're doing World War II killers here. And I think the interesting thing about serial killers is that these were in places where there wasn't a whole lot of ground warfare going on. So God knows what actually happened out there in the countrysides of France and Germany. And
Never mind
places-
like Vietnam and in fucking Afghanistan. I still feel like there's a lot of weird shit that happens that we just didn't uncover in our research.
Yeah. Or
Because
just was never reported.
Well, with World War II, but I mean, with Vietnam, I think it's fairly well known the tortures that
Yeah, because
everyone
how do you know
was-
that Private Milwaukee didn't frag his jungles of Saigon up to the knees in muck? Fight for our goddamn freedom, and they get back and we hand him a Pepsi Cola can and a slap on the back and say, "Thanks for serving your country, you legless old man." And
Well,
he's just,
they were very
waving a
rude to the
flag.
Vietnam-
I'm just saying
the
that there's a
Vietnam
lot of things
vets.
out there that make my blood boil.
Why are you Vietnam vets did not
I'm
get
going
the
to
free
start changing
cola?
this show called Blood Boiling with Henry Zabrowski.
Blood
It's me-
boiling?
Yeah.
I do not sign off on this.
No, it's me getting stuff out of something makes my blood boil. Like
You are
when the
not-
tip of your shoelace falls off and you can't get it through the hole again.
You're just not in good enough shape for it. Can I just say that? You can't have a show
God.
called Blood Boiling because it's really a medical problem.
Because my blood is boiling.
It's too hot.
Yeah, I can
It's
feel
too
the blood.
hot.
Sometimes when I get mad, I feel my eyes get bigger.
And I can see them get bigger, bloodshot. Very
Yeah.
scary. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. So there are two main guys.
That wasn't sincere.
No, it was. Thank you for that. Blood Boiling with Henry Zabrowski. Oh, everyone's gonna love it.
Yeah, when the hot pocket's cold,
Hi, that
Gets
makes
my blood
boiling. Love this guy's show. All right, so we're going to cover two main guys. Do we
Yeah.
want to start with Gordon Cummings?
We'll start with Gordon Cummings.
Yeah.
And
Gordon
there's
Cummings.
one more thing I want to say before we get to as far as the rest of the world goes in World War II. There were places like Russia, and I know Russia is very reticent to report on crime, serial killers. That's why Andrei Chikatilo was able to operate for so long.
how many he killed? What,
80s.
42?
54.
Yeah, 54.
54. He is, as far as we know, he's one of the top guys. 54 that they can prove.
Yeah.
He was able to operate for so long because the Russians just didn't want to admit that there was a serial killer in their midst, and they didn't want to tell people that all was not kosher in the
Yeah, that in their
Russian,
socialist
government.
police
Yeah.
state didn't have everything under control.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want people worried while they're in those bread lines. You know,
Yeah,
they're already
yeah.
worried about enough stuff: starvation,
'Cause the
overall,
thing
like
is,
survival.
Russia was full of guys just going, "You're
Constantly.
waiting for toilet paper," and he goes,
Yeah, these two guys were the only documented ones that I could find, at least out there. I mean, there was, as far as like World War II goes, and even during World War I was only able to find one guy, and he was just a Bluebeard that took advantage of war widows.
What's a
saying-
Bluebeard?
Bluebeard's a guy who sleeps with women who've lost their husbands for their money, gets all up in their shit, and makes them fall in love with them, and then murders them.
Yeah.
Takes their money.
Yeah, it's essentially making a
brilliant
woman
business model.
It's making a woman fall in love with you, and then you kill her after you gain control of her assets. That's when you murder her. There
I'm
was a guy
sorry
in
to
World
all
War
the women
I.
that fell in love with me. money.
Yeah, that's why you're so wealthy right now. We have to rush with today's podcast because after today's show, Henry, you are extremely busy. What are you doing?
I'm picking up a record receiver, a
That's
sound
nice.
receiver, and getting my pants hemmed.
And you're gonna go get your pants hemmed.
Yeah, because I have a 38 waist and a 27-inch inseam.
Well, look at that. Look at a little Catholic.
Tiny
Let's get my pants hemmed, Mimmy.
I don't got anybody to do it for me, so I'm taking applications for ladies who want to come hem me pants.
They don't. They don't want to do
come
that.
on,
though.
I'll pay you money.
This is why you weren't able to get
Pay you
any
money to stay.
They're not falling in love with you, Henry. You're not going to get their assets.
Just come and stay. Just these old hallways of mine. Just me and the spiders and the rats. That's what I live in my old mansion on top of a hill.
Well, you got to have something to eat. That's not bad. That's good protein in a spider.
Great protein.
Solid protein.
Our first,
Let's do this.
let's
Yes,
do this.
please.
Our first guy today, Gordon Frederick Cummins. Cummins.
It's how we'll clean up me Cummins.
He was known as the Blackout Killer and the Blackout Ripper, which I think is a fucking great name for a serial killer.
Yeah, Blackout Ripper's awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like a band name.
Yeah, the Blackout,
Blackout
Ripper.
Rippers.
He was an English spree killer who murdered 4 women and attempted to kill 2 more in London in 1942. He did all of this during the London blackouts, and if you don't know what the London blackouts are, 1944, the whole of London was under a complete and total nighttime blackout in order to prevent the Luftwaffe.
The Luftwaffe.
The Luftwaffe.
Well, they didn't
You know,
want
your
nice, beautiful
grandfather
skin.
used to shine the planes for him before they started flying over there, right?
The Luftwaffe.
Yeah.
That sounds nice.
That would be the German Air Force.
Oh, it just sounds like they're just like bombing them with a bunch of great loofahs and things like that. You come out with smooth
Yeah, that's
skin.
exactly what it was. That's why
that
they
what
had
it
a
is?
gigantic blackout.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what
interesting.
your grandfather was doing. Yeah. He
Are
was
we
just
bringing up my
sewing loofahs.
grandfather
Yeah,
again?
that's all he was doing. Yeah,
He was under the
he was
sea
just
like the
packaging
Little
teddy
Mermaid.
bears that they were sending over to Poland and into London at the
My
time.
Opa was like a little Sebastian down there, playing with the crabs under the sea, singing songs, playing with Ursula.
That doesn't make any
That's
sense.
possible, though. I had more of a Disney memory of my Opa.
The London blackouts, they were essentially to prevent the Luftwaffe from finding London and bombing certain targets during the German Blitz. So this guy, Gordon Cummins, he decided blackout. We don't know why, but after 2 years in the blackout, he decided it was time to do some killing. And
Or
some
like, these are the people
hardcore
they
killing.
found too.
Yeah, and these are the people that they found. Maybe he was doing it beforehand. Maybe
Sure.
he had more victims. They weren't able to really link him to anyone else. But in a period of 6 days, this guy killed 4 women, attacked 2 others on the morning of Sunday, the 9th of February. The
It
body.
took him 6 days to do what Bundy did in 15 minutes. Please, you lazy Brit. You're lazy.
And every time he killed them too, he was just like stab, 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 playing with their boobies, playing with their boobies. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
I've got to
Sorry.
get my pants hemmed now. Very interesting.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've got to go to the crumpet store to test the stiffness of the crumpets. Oh.
Oh, that's good. God damn it, man. Get out of here. It's stiff enough. All right.
On Sunday, February 9th, the body of teacher Evelyn Hamilton, aged 40 or 42, was discovered in an air raid shelter. She had been strangled. There were no signs of sex mutilated. The killer had either placed her in the shelter after death or launched his attack when he found himself alone
You just
with
sit
her
right there.
within its
You be
walls.
safe. So sorry again. See you soon. All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, boy.
Cheerio.
And so this guy, I think, has an honor of fastest escalation in serial killer history.
Yeah, he
Okay.
did he just did, it's like a time-lapse video of it, a serial killer's career.
Yep. His next victim, Evelyn Oatley, the next day was found dead in her apartment in Soho. She had turned to prostitution and was using an assumed name, Nita Ward. The actual
That's really great prostitute name, too.
Nita
Nita
Ward?
Ward,
yeah,
That's
it's like-
amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, Nita Ward. And now we all be like, my name's Gump.
Yep.
Pussy Gump.
Pussy Gump. That sounds good. I'll take you.
Yeah, you want a date because all I got is farts for you, baby.
That's
Come on
okay.
over here. I'm sorry. I got my fucking pussy's all closed up from being sick earlier today.
Well, this is
So
really
the only thing I got is the back. Come on over here.
here. I'm going to say yes, Pussy Gump. Thank you.
Well, the actual cause of death
I wish they
of
could
Nita
be more like Nita Ward. Remember them? Yeah, they were great. Those nice British prostitutes.
Killed all of them.
Ah, yeah.
The actual cause of death of Nita Ward was strangulation, but her throat had been cut after the actual death, and she was naked. Her body had been sexually mutilated with a can opener.
And he's like, oh no, oh, there's no peaches in there. Oh, I better go back to my war rations. Oh, and no peaches in there. How will I make me crumpets? How will I make me Scottish pie?
Oof.
That's sad, though, yeah. Back to the dehydrated foods.
Poke.
None
I'm
of
sorry.
Yeah, this was not the crank can opener, by the way. This was the actual tin opener that had the triangular point at the end.
It's just a knife. It's a stabby thing.
It's a stabby pen knife, and there's a lot that a man can do to some sexual organs with a can opener.
You can do a lot of things with sexual
Organs.
organs with a lot of different things. I don't know. I like to treat him kindly.
Yeah.
You would just like cuddle with the organs?
Yeah, with just, like a little bit of a, I don't know, like a feather, like a little
Just play with a liver.
Yeah,
Poke at it a
but you
little
can
bit.
rub a bell on it.
Oh, that's sweet.
A lot of different weird things you could do to generals that don't necessarily hurt them.
Two things. A feather
two
and
things.
a bell.
Yeah. Dip them in some toothpaste.
That's just if you want to clean them.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know where that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
On the very next day, Tuesday, the 11th of February, another prostitute, Margaret Florence Lowe, also known as Pearl, which is a classic
Great
prostitute name.
name.
Great. Yeah.
She was murdered in her apartment. She had been strangled with a silk stocking and mutilated with both a knife and a razor blade. The pathologist who found her, Bernard Spilsbury,
Fucking these British people.
It's ridiculous.
He went over there twisting his baton around, going like, something must be done here.
well, actually, what he said is that the injuries that she sustained were quite dreadful.
Quite dreadful. No, well, off I go, because I'm sport tea with Mary and Marjorie.
And he
Burping
described
down
the
the
murderer as a savage sexual maniac.
That's right.
This is how I used to describe myself in the old Oxford days, but now I'm just a constable serving the street. Well, I better go and have a spot and stew over at O'Garnery's.
Sounds like a pretty busy day. It's kind of fun.
It's like my day.
Yeah. So this is 2 days after the first Evelyn was killed.
This is
and
3
he didn't
days after.
sexually.
No, he did the one was just murdered. The second one was sexually assaulted. This was further sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
I mean, it kept going more and more. He kept bringing more implements into it. And he was also experimenting. He was, as all serial killers do, he's experimenting, he's exploring, he's trying to find exactly what sort of killing he really enjoys. He definitely settled on sexually mutilation.
Because it's also imagined him like a John Cleese in like Faulty Towers going like, oh no. It's like he's like dropping him in the toilet like, oh dear. I guess I'll use a plunger then.
I mean, maybe do something with her butthole, the plunger there.
What if I just lick it? Oh no, I kind of want to cut it.
Yeah, I think cut it's probably better. After the person dies, there's a lot of material down there, material waste.
On Wednesday, on the 12th of February, he murdered Doris Jeanette in a in a two-room ground floor apartment that she shared with her husband. She was known to be in the habit of picking up servicemen. She was strangled with a scarf, and her naked body was sexually mutilated. His thing was it was strangulation, then sexual mutilation.
And how would he
after they were
sexually
done.
Same thing with
mutilate
Ted
these?
Bundy.
Yeah.
It was the same thing. No, you just
Well,
like,
there
you know,
was-
you
but there
kind of
was no
wave a
necro-
fork at a vagina. You stick it, stick it. You probably like, play with the belly button like going like, I love you.
Yeah.
And you're like, shut up, shut your fucking mouth.
You're not my mother.
You know,
stuff
you're not
like
my
that.
mother. You're not my. You can't tell me the rules.
Yeah.
Put me under the staircase. Playing with her boobies a little bit, bite them.
Right.
You know,
right.
stab her, put a bunch of toothpicks in her face, be like, oh, look, it's acupuncture.
That's kind of fun for the eyes, though.
Yeah,
huh?
lots of fun. Lots of things you can do once somebody's
20/20
dead.
vision.
You know, it's hard to convince a girlfriend to do it.
That's tough to be a doctor.
It really is.
But this guy didn't have sex with the corpses, though. He didn't dabble in the necrophilia, much like Bundy.
No.
It just says sexually mutilated. It mentions nothing about rape.
And so, what are the? I mean, what you just cut out the pussy? Is that what happens here? I mean,
What are you talking about? No, you stab at it.
You just stab at it with a knife.
Yeah.
I mean, an
Exactly.
example of sexual mutilation would be Ted Bundy using the hairspray can to jam up
Jam it
that
up
woman.
into-
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right,
That's
right.
a
Cutting her nipples
sexual-
off and put it over your eyes, being like, I can't see, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like sexual. That would be sexual mutilation. Absolutely. They
I
didn't
would
go
still say
into
Ted Bundy jamming a hairspray can up a woman's pussy is not as bad as what Twisted Sister did with Hairspray.
I'm still just
You
going
know,
to say,
the
you know,
'80s rock fucking
gonna say
phenomenon
you're wrong.
of hair rock,
just
of
gonna go
hair
ahead and
metal.
say that no,
Hair
I'm gonna
metal
say
was
no.
worse for hairspray.
It's an entertaining form of rock and roll.
Yeah.
It's just rock and roll. It's just them
it's
having a
not
good time.
rock and roll.
It's
Yeah.
not sexually humiliating a dead woman.
Well, you can't humiliate the dead. You can't. You can't humiliate the
Keep
dead.
moving. Let's keep moving.
What?
You know,
let's
that's a controversial stance.
That's a real
That's
controversial
what we'll
stance,
say. We're
but-
gonna say, like we're gonna call Hardline with Ben Kissel. It's gonna be your new show.
Yeah.
where you're gonna take these opinions and do that on your new show.
Yeah.
Hardline.
Pushing
Ben
the
Kissel.
envelope with Ben Kissel.
Does the corpse feel sad? Let's watch Schindler's
It is
List
if
together.
you cut a frown into it.
You can do a bunch with it. Have you ever played with a Mr. Potato Head? Now imagine it's a fucking dead dude.
On Thursday, Gordon rested. No murders that day.
Like
Little
God
Jesus
did.
moment.
And
yeah.
just him sitting, just reading a newspaper, just been like, "Oh, the horses ran fast today. Oh, my pecker's stiff. Oh, it's because I'm looking at these pictures of the dead woman I did in the newspaper."
Evelyn, Margaret, and Doris. Just like the names that he killed. Evelyn, Margaret. Oh, and a Greta.
For on Friday, he attacked Greta in an alleyway, did not kill her because a delivery boy heard the scuffling.
Hey, out there, you better watch what you're doing there. Oh, well, I got to get all these tea packets back in delivery.
Get out of here.
Cummins ran off, but he left. And this does kind of does play into your bungling serial killer theory because he left behind his Royal Air Force issue gas mask. The container was marked 525987. It was easily traced and linked back to Cummins. However, the police were still under this investigation when 1 hour later Cummins attacked another woman, and I want to bring in an actual British person to tell us the story of what happened next.
I love their accents.
Yes, they're fun.
And this is one of my favorites.
His uniform belt he left in the flat of another prostitute an hour or so later. He picked her up in Regent Street, just around the corner from the They took a taxi back to the girl's flat in the Paddington area. It had been snowing and it was freezing. So she kept her boots on as she undressed in front of a tiny gas fire. It was just as well. A strange expression came over his face, said the streetwise girl, and he grabbed me round the neck and tried to strangle me. So I booted him in the shins and made him shout. He said no more, he put on his coat, gave me 15 quid and he went. But he left his tunic belt behind.
He's dropping shit everywhere.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Again. Wait. I
tunic
can't believe
belt?
I left my belt. Oh, my pants will fall down. Isn't that funny? Oh, my pants fall down. All the Parliament's watching and going like, no, indecent.
And that's where Benny Hill got all of his great comedic ideas.
I'm sorry I cut your pussy.
And then his pants fall down, and everybody laughs, and they love it and love it and love it.
Yeah, prostitutes running by with big balloons in front of their chest.
This is just a bad day for this guy, huh? No, really?
Well, he's
I mean,
obviously he's new.
well,
Yeah,
yes,
he's new.
and this is where his inexperience is really shown through here.
You can't just jump into this shit.
Yeah.
It's not easy. You got to plan. Ted Bundy did dry runs for fucking months.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
this is also how one of the reasons why Ted Bundy, it was the same kind of pattern because if you'll remember in Florida, he that last woman he attacked, he didn't kill her, so he didn't get the release that he actually needed, so he went to the next department. And he didn't actually kill her either. So this guy has somewhat of the same pattern as that. Tried killing the first one, didn't do it. Tried killing the second one,
Right.
didn't do it. But I thought that was so weird. It's like threw her 15 quid and then left.
I mean,
after-
as far as a day of a prostitute goes during World War II,
How often do you get choked as a prostitute?
Yeah.
I'm sure it happens
often?
2 times a day. Some dude goes like a funny look across his face, and he goes like, "I hate you, mom. I hate you, mom." And then it's like, "So that'll be $50." Thank you again. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just, well, I'll see you.
It's similar to, which is a great meat store here in Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
How
you
is
know?
it similar to Fat Sal?
When you go there and then you demand all the food and you curse at the people.
No,
and-
I sensibly order because if Fat Sal is one of those barbecue places where you order by the pound, and if you don't watch yourself properly, you'll spend $80 sitting by yourself. And it's not like I've done that,
No, you haven't.
but I've learned since then
Yes.
what a human eats. To me, it's more like you go to the burrito store and it's closed because the fucking health inspectors closed it
Sure.
because it's full of rat meat. And
Yeah.
you're like, but I liked it.
It was
And then
good.
I guess I have to go get a fucking pita. across the street. That's what it's like.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with this guy. He had his beautiful rat burrito, then he lost her, then he went for the pita, and he lost her as
Lost
well.
her,
So
so
now
now
he's
he's gotta
extremely
go-
upset.
Yeah.
So was he wearing his gas mask to hide his identity?
No, he was just carrying it around.
Maybe he had one of those.
That's just
maybe it was one of
dumb.
those. Maybe it was one of those American fart prostitutes that you referenced earlier, and he just always wears a gas mask in
I better
case.
put on my gas mask because here comes Farty Lucy.
She is a special prostitute.
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, you ready to get the hot air balloon? That's what I call when I fucking staple a blanket over here and I'll stick my ass in it and I'll fart all up in your goddamn face.
I'm sure there's a man.
I can't wait to pay you money for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry,
anyway,
my pussy's all full of raisins. Sat down on a fucking box of raisins. Now my pussy's all full of them. So can't use it. Closed for fucking business.
Because of raisins. Yeah, that's a strange reason to close your pussy for business.
Well, they picked up Gordon 2 days later on Sunday, February 16th. His fingerprints, of course, matched the bloody can opener that they found. A search of his quarters
He
turned up.
also left the can open.
He left the can
he's
opener
a fucking
too.
goblin
Yeah.
mess.
I mean,
Yes,
yeah,
he
He's
was.
Mr. Bean over there.
Yeah.
He really was.
Something happened to make this guy snap. There was some trigger.
Or you're saying, yeah, that maybe, he had a bad waitress.
Yeah.
Just something
be.
happened. And maybe that's what it was. He couldn't get his burrito, so he had to have a pita, so he flipped out.
Yeah.
Could be.
Something made him flip out. Who knows? But they found in his quarters, they also found several items that belonged to his victims. He took belonging to one woman, took a fountain pen belonging to another. On June 25th, just a few months later,
I mean,
the
why did she
blackout.
have a fountain pen? Was she writing receipts?
I mean, this is back in the day. Everyone had fountain pens.
Yeah, this is back
Even
in the
a
day when
prostitute?
people were literate.
I felt like a fountain pen was more like an iPhone 5 back in the day. If you had a
No.
fountain pen, it was
Now
it was
it's
the
like an
peak of
iPhone 5.
technology.
Now it's expensive. Then it was just pens. It was just pens.
But prostitutes don't have iPhone 5s now.
Well, actually, I can
I
answer
bet
that
they
question.
do. Yes, they do. They do have prostitutes. Do have iPhones. Yes.
Yeah, I can answer that question for you. The fountain pen was taken from Doris Jeanette. Remember, Doris's husband lived with her. He was a hotel manager. So
Yeah,
he
he
was,
was fountain pens all over the place.
yeah, he was
Full
a
of
man of
fountain
business.
pens.
So
Okay.
he needed, there were plenty of fountain
Sure,
pens around.
okay.
On 25th of June, the Blackout Ripper was executed at London's Wandsworth Prison, and poetically, an air raid was in progress over the city as he was led to the gallows.
At Wandsworth Prison.
Poor Gordon Cummins.
Poor Gordon Cummins. And he was executed by the famous London executioner, served up until, I think, like 1990. He was the hangman. He's a very interesting
What's
guy.
his name? Albert Pierpoint?
Albert Pierpoint.
Ooh, that's awesome.
yeah.
We should do a show on that.
We're definitely
We should.
there's an executions episode that I've got bubbling in my brain right now. We should
bubbling
definitely.
out?
It's bubbling right
That's
now.
good.
It's bubbling right now. We could do a whole episode
I'm getting
just
all Gordon Cummins about that.
just
Getting
on
giddy, huh?
Yeah, we could do it just on executioners. They're fascinating people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now
All right,
we've-
stick a pervert's head on a block. Yeah, all right, let's hang him up. Yeah, you like it when your willy's socked, Mr. Cummins? Oh, yes, I do, Mr. Executioner. Will you suck it for me?
That's very,
now I'm
very
sending
nice.
you straight to hell. That's British hell.
Yeah, that's British hell. And now that we're done with Britain, let's move on over to France for Marcel
C'est
Petrois,
la vie.
This guy is amazing.
a.k.a. the Butcher of Paris, the Scalper of